Well, hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be just something a little bit different. Obviously it's the Tuscan Grand Prix this weekend, so we're going to be driving around Mugello, as we are doing now, given this is my very second lap or so, all getting very squirmish there. But yes, we're going to be driving a selection of cars around Mugello. I did a video like this. Excuse me, a video like this around 3 years ago, but we're starting off with the Renault. Obviously this is on Forza Motorsport 7, so obviously the cars on here, apart from the IndyCar Honda one, they're not going to be up to date, which is a shame, but I'm hoping that we can repeat this maybe in the future on other games. Of course we've got the new generation of consoles, so but yes, we're here in the Honda, we're in the Renault, pre-Halo. This is 2017 Renault, so Renault have improved a few years ago, but obviously there's a combination. That corner is very horrible. If you mess that up, you sort of have to lift off through that corner, otherwise you're going to end up ending up going into the gravel, which there is quite a lot of gravel. So if anybody if this is accurate rendition, which I haven't seen anything yet, I won't see anything until tomorrow myself until qualifying, then it should be okay. We're coming through this fast flowing third sector, which is a beautiful section to be riding around this final bend, which I always found more understeer than I should have. As we now go across the line for a 1:28.8. That was the full volume there of a Formula E car. I know. People, I watch Formula E for the racing, not for the sounds. Basically, I don't think anybody watches it for the sounds. So, and I know that people I've spoken to don't like Formula E because there is no sound. But yes, the Renault is about 11 seconds what they were doing in practice earlier today. So obviously that's probably mostly me rather than a little bit of the Renault, because of course it's the 2017 Renault, and it's not quite as fast as let's say the 2020 Mercedes, which is pretty much OP. But anyway, back to Formula E. This is the 2017 Formula E, which has a lot less power than the current day Formula E car, which is a shame. Obviously there's a new generation of Formula E cars that is coming, so I would like to give this another go on a future game, probably when the new generation of consoles are out. We will give it a go and see which is we have a little bit of twitch. We lose a little bit of time there as well, so that's really not going to help our cause. So, and the fact of the matter is that this game is quite old now, so as I've already mentioned, so we'll probably have to do this again on a future generation of console. So if you want to see that in the future, then please get subscribed to the channel for plenty more videos like this. And if you've got suggestions, stuff you'd like to see, then let me know in the comments below. As we go around this final corner, speed is not very fast in this engines. Obviously the new generation's got a lot more power, so, and obviously they've got more, I don't know if they got more aero. They definitely got a second generation, another generation coming. Back to petrol powered or diesel or whatever they have in IndyCar. I don't know. I've only ever actually watched one IndyCar race when I was in the United States one time. This is a long time ago. So, but yes, there's two IndyCars. Unfortunately, they're not from the same year for this one. We've got the 2017 IndyCar powered by the Chevrolet, and that will then be followed by the 2019 IndyCar powered by the Honda engine, which is pretty much the latest car in this game and video. as we go through this section. A lot less aero. It's definitely faster than the Formula E car, obviously, but compared to F1, it's, I don't want to say there is. It's stable. It's not more. It's not. I haven't got to be careful through the corners like I was off the F1 car because I'm not going fast enough through the corners. Because we get a little bit more twitchy there. Both of the Indy cars, you'll see the Honda one in a minute, both of them had moments of twitchiness, if you can call that, where we had to, the rear end just steps out there as well as we get the power down through this lovely last sector, and that's definitely going to be one by one. So we have a little bubble into the final corner. Definitely probably the main straight will have DRS. Obviously we didn't have DRS on the F1 car because it's not in the game, so cross the line and slower than F1. So moving to the 2019 IndyCar, which is powered by Honda, again a little bit twitchy as well compared to the 2017 car, which is also twitchy. So definitely these haven't got the cornering speed and stability of an F1 car, which is where, although we were a little bit twitchy as well on the F1 car with the rear stepping out, and it just wants to step out in this car every single time. So that is, I also want to point out that although this is a Honda power car, we somehow got Cosworth on the steering wheel, which I don't get. If any IndyCar fan wants to tell me, get me information why there is a Honda that, a Cosworth on the steering wheel on the Honda powered IndyCar, then please let me know in the comments below. But yes, oh dear, big snap there. That wasn't lost probably about a couple of tenths maybe, so we're still slower than F1 because of the cornering speed, and also the fact the top speed of the engine, the acceleration isn't there compared to an F1 car. So we ran the final corner. This one was actually a lot nicer. No, it's not the end, lose a little bit on exit, but we do regain control up to the line. It's going to be very close to the IndyCar that was powered by Chevrolet. So moving to NASCAR. Now, if you've been subscribed to the channel a long time, you might remember I did a video like this before when Forza Motorsport 7 came out before. I think it might still be about. Obviously I've got poor mic quality on that one compared to what we have nowadays, but with the improvements that I've made to the channel, so I'll try and leave a card in the top right hand corner for that video. If I can find it at some point. It is, bearing in mind, an old video, so quality isn't the best, but the idea pretty much for this stems from that video where we did it around Long Beach. So but yes, I want to see what we can do. I would love to take this NASCAR and put it against the F1 car around the Bahrain outer track, see if it's then a match. But I can't yet find a video game that actually has the Bahrain outer track. Obviously Assetto Corsa does it, but obviously I'm on Forza Motorsport 7 because I'm on a pad user and also use assists. It's two things that Assetto Corsa really doesn't do well with, especially also that any outer circuit will be a mod, so I'll have to learn how to brake as well, because the assists most likely won't have been created there. But yes, going back to the NASCAR, the cornering speed obviously isn't great compared to the likes of the IndyCar and the F1 car. Probably similar to the Formula E, to be fair, because Formula E was a lot slower through the corners which I really didn't get. Obviously, it's used to being right in the tight, twisty corners of the street circuit, as opposed to the road circuit that we have here, as we go across the line for a time over 2 minutes in the NASCAR. So moving to LMP2, and I've got to say I like the dash. Really, we got very twitchy on the curb there. Lost a little fraction of time, but not a lot in terms of speed. It's got this. Obviously, this is the second class of endurance racing. We'll get to LMP1, which is the fastest class of endurance racing, although they do race at the same circuit, being endurance racing. I mean, they just get the same race done at the same time, unlike what they do with F1 and F2, etc. But yes, we've the engine in here obviously isn't as fast as F1, because obviously you've got a lot more weight, so you can't go as fast as in a straight line compared to an F1 car, and obviously you've got that's going to decrease the cornering ability as well. But it's actually quite nice to corner this. It's a left-hand drive car as well, which, although I drive right-handed in real life, but in video games, I'm so used to driving on a left-hand drive vehicle that driving right-hand drive vehicles puts you off a little bit. It's just like, oh, okay, I'm on the other side, so just got to get your mind about it, really. As I say, I'm perfectly fine driving in real life, but it's just literally that video and gaming sickness. I don't know if anybody else has that, or maybe I've just been driving too many left-hand drive vehicles. As we go across the line, it's going to be slower than NASCAR, but not a lot, so it'll be interesting to see what LMP1 can do. And this is what I was on about, because the LMP1 is a right-hand drive car, so I was obviously sort of trying to gauge myself where I am on the circuit, because obviously in a left-hand drive car I know, because I've driven too many of them, where I am compared to the right-hand, automatically compared to where the right-hand drive car is. Obviously this is the LMP1 car. It's got a lot more speed, well, it's got a little bit more speed, but it's got a bit more cornering ability as well, so this will be interesting to see where. It's definitely not as fast as an F1 car, but it'd be interesting to see where LMP1 goes up against IndyCar. That could be an interesting one. We'll have to wait and see. Both of them drive around road circuits, so this is these cars were built for tracks like these, so we'll see what they can both do. It's got a nice cornering ability through here. Speed is up as well, a little bit twitchy there, but not as twitchy as the IndyCar, so the stability of the Le Mans car may help compared to the twitchiness of the IndyCar, and we're a massive 9.5 seconds faster than our first lap, which doesn't really count because we do that from, of course, from a standing start. Then we come into this third sector, which isn't as flowing. It was very flowing in the F1 car, and it's sort of less flowing with the less air and downforce that you have, and it sort of becomes a little bit more irritating as we come across the line. This is going to be very close to IndyCar. We'll have to take a look at the end when we've got all the stats where it comes out. So, to the one and only road car of this video, and yes, this game has a lot of road cars. It has some that would probably take about a year. We go wide on the Bugatti. It's the Bugatti Veyron Super Sport there. We didn't lose too much time though, so we're going to carry on this lap, but that was definitely a mistake. I made a mistake on all the corners. It doesn't look like it's got the downforce, but this is pretty much It is one of the fastest road cars in the world. It can do pretty much matching 253 miles an hour or something like that. This is the Veyron Super Sport as well, so it's faster because they had that Hennessy car. I think it was Hennessy that beat the original Bugatti Veyron in terms of fastest speed. And then they obviously, Bugatti, or rather Volkswagen, said, well, this isn't good enough, we need to improve, so they came out with this. I think, of course, this has obviously been beaten since then, because obviously they got brought out the new Rounder Bugatti, or whatever they called it. But it's definitely a nice car to drive in a straight line. The corners, as we saw there through turn 2, I think it was, we had a little bit of a less experience. It doesn't have the grip that you'll be looking for from a hypercar like this compared to the likes of the F1 car and the IndyCars. We take that corner very airily. Can we see what we can do? We've only got the final corner. I don't think we're definitely going to be slower than IndyCar and the Le Mans, but whether we'll fit in to NASCAR, that would be interesting, because looking at the timing now, NASCAR was just over 2 minutes, and this looks like it's going to be over 2 minutes as well. So definitely going to be closer there. We'll see. We'll come across the line 2 minutes 3. So we'll see there. So we're going to finish this video off with 4 F1 cars. Now, this first one is just called a 1970s F1 car. I think it looks like Lotus, but I don't think it's actually a Lotus, because it's got groove tyres, and I didn't think they had groove tyres in the 1970s. But so I think it's very much it's not actually a Lotus. It doesn't say Lotus on the side, so I'm just putting it as what it is called in the game. We will then finish up with 3 Ferraris as well, because of course it is Ferrari's 1000th Grand Prix. So this car's hasn't got a lot of horsepower, so that means we can put a lot more on the load on the car tyres and through the corners as well. So that's definitely good. We'll put this up against the 1976 Ferrari as well, see if that can beat it. A little bit understeer there, so that got us on the curve. We lost a little bit of time there compared to where I would love to be, but through this corner now, sliding it through. That's a nice turn, and this is where we're going to make up time, definitely compared to IndyCar, but probably not going to be at that level, because of course this is the 1970s, so they not going to be as fast in a straight line and not have the cornering ability compared to modern day 2019 or 2017 Indy cars. We're coming through now to the final sector. In actual fact, it's not going to be far off, which is full credit to this car. Yes, it's probably not actually a car that ever raced in Formula 1. On actual fact, it's going to be slower than our first thought. Slower than IndyCar. See, it'll be around about NASCAR. 156. Okay, 3 Ferraris. The first one, 1990, and the thumbnail of this video as well is the one that was driven unsuccessfully by Alan Prost. This is the only of these 3 Ferraris. It's in F1 2020 now, because they removed the older Ferrari from the game, which was unfortunate. And this felt really fast. The corners were lining up here. It's just sticking together, really. I had a bit more unstability through some of the corners, so we go a little bit wide compared to where I would like to be. But now through this corner, and this is the corner where you want to sort of lift off, otherwise you're going to end up in the gravel, as I did a couple of times in this car. Obviously the IndyCar and slower cars didn't have a problem through that corner. It's just literally this car and just the faster F1 cars, which is this. I would say this is definitely going to be faster than IndyCar It's got probably probably similar amount of power. 1990 as well. So I can't remember what engine's in the back of this. Whether it's a V, it's a V something. That's what I'm going to go with. I'm sure somebody will be able to tell me what this is in the comments. But up to the line, definitely faster than IndyCar. So we'll see where that fits. So to a car that you could drive in F1 2019, but not in F1 2020 because they removed it. Tried to get away with that quietly, Co-Masters, but they didn't do that. So we're on this, on Forza Motorsport 7. They do have this car, as well as an even older Ferrari. This, of course, was the one won by Niki Lauda back in 1976. Well, no, he didn't win. He almost won. Excuse me. The 312 T2 was a successful car, though. I think they used it again in 90. I think it was sort of just because back in those days they do what they're doing for next year, which is basically reuse last year's car, and then when they get round to it, they'll introduce a new car. Or if it's successful, then they won't. They'll just keep getting on with the same car until somebody comes and beats them. Some of the McLarens actually lasted for quite some while. I know a couple of earlier Williams as well, and then obviously they started introducing new chassis from season to season as we go through to the 90s, into the 1990s. But yes, I love the rev counter as well on this. Very old-fashioned style rev counter. There is supposed to be a gear lever as well as we go through the very jumpy corner there. I found that was difficult with the assists. That was literally, that corner really didn't help me get out of it, basically. There should be a gear lever, but that clearly hasn't been modelled in. And we're going to come around the corner. It's going to be slightly slower than IndyCar, so not bad considering the fact this car is over 45 years old. So now we come to the oldest Ferrari F1 car, the 1952. Look at this car compared to how wide modern F1 cars are. A little bit very unstable under braking there going into turn 1. This is the car, obviously Alfa Romeo won in 1950 and 1951. So this was of course the rise of Alberto Ascari, who won his first World Championship, I think it was, in 1952 in this car. So obviously a very old-fashioned car, gear lever, rev counter. Obviously it still works. Obviously they don't have the gear lever programmed in, which is a shame, but it'd be nice to see this car actually make an appearance in the F1 game, as well as some of the early cars. Just like to give that a little bit of nostalgia, really, back to where, like to be able to see, oh, this is where F1 was back in the 1950s, and when Ferrari and obviously got the great lights that were back then, Van Wall, Cooper, BRM and so on, that continued to race, and the original Lotus as well, that continued to race throughout those early days. But yes, obviously this car, the wheels aren't very wide, so the turning isn't great. And of course this is but this is the 1950s. This is fast for the 1950s. So think how, if you think compared to obviously this car also has the engine at the back. The engine at the front, excuse me. They went to the back as we lose it through the gravel. So that's going to, it's not going to take away time. I mean, it's going to be bottom of the leaderboard, unfortunately. But of course, the car was 68 years old. So compare it to cars at the time, it was actually pretty fast. around the final corner, a little bit twitchy there, and we're just going to power out to the line, and it's going to be well over and last place to round off this video. So we're going to finish off, of course, with the leaderboard and see how everybody finished off. So obviously way out in front was the 2017 Renault RS17. Speed, but top speed isn't everything, though, as you can see on the right hand side. The IndyCar having more top speed, but yet obviously cornering speed less so. So yes, and NASCAR, you can see they are woefully down, considering the acceleration isn't there. And then obviously Formula E beating NASCAR. Sorry, the 1952 Ferrari. The Veyron as well, it obviously has a bigger top speed than the NASCAR. So obviously, although more top speed increases that, obviously they've got less cornering speed compared to like the 70s F1, the 76 Ferrari, and the Le Mans LMP2, which is sort of in no man's land there. And of course, very close there between IndyCar and LMP1 car. So just edging out in the 2019 IndyCar. I want to try this in a newer game at some point in the future and see if Le Mans and IndyCar can race each other again. Obviously, cornering speed for Le Mans is a lot better than the IndyCar, but the IndyCar's got the top speed, so very close there between those two. But yes, if you have enjoyed this video, then leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you see more F1 related video games as they come out. We will be going, of course, to all of the alternative tracks as much as I can. I pretty much located most of them games for most of the alternative tracks. Obviously, we can go to older F1 games for Turkey and the Nürburgring. Portimao is sorted because that's in Project Cars 2, so we'll be going there for that game. The only one that's sticking at the moment is the Bahrain Short Circuit, but I have got until pretty much the end of November, so a couple of months to find a game that actually hosts that circuit. But yes, until the next video time, take care, thanks so much for watching, enjoy your day, and goodbye.